Hello and welcome once again to The Blueprints. This is Canada's Conservative Podcast. I'm your host, Jamie Schmale, Member of Parliament for Haliburton, Kawartha Lakes, Brock, with new content for you every single Tuesday, 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We're glad you can join us, and we hope that you can like, comment, subscribe, and share this program. Get others to join it, of course, if they can't watch or listen to the entire program right this second. Download it, listen to it on platforms like CastBox, iTunes, Google Play, and Spotify. You name it, it is out there. Lots to talk about today. We have news that the entire board of the Trudeau Foundation has resigned. And also a topic that we haven't covered yet is the 2023-24 budget. The federal budget came down a couple of weeks ago. What a disaster that is, stifling innovation, productivity, etc. We're going to bring on a great guest to the show. He's been on before. He has his own podcast as well. Jasraj Singh, the Member of Parliament for Calgary Forest Lawn. He's also the finance critic. Busy guy. Thanks for coming on.
Jamie, thanks for having me. You are an absolute legend, and it's always great to join your podcast and be alongside with such greatness.
Well, you keep saying stuff like that. We're going to have you on every week. I think we're going to have to bring you on as a permanent guest. All right, let's talk about something that's breaking today. Of course, a constituency week. We're both in our constituency offices. The entire board of directors of the Trudeau Foundation completely resigned. All of them, including the CEO, walked out. There's a few stragglers carrying on, so the entire organization doesn't collapse. Of course, $200,000 roughly was given back as a potential alleged illegal donation from Beijing, funneled through some other individuals. So what is your take on all this as you watch this coming around? Of course, the topic today is the budget, but this is kind of breaking, so I just want to get your thoughts on what's going on.
Yeah, and I think that it just plays into the whole thing where, this foreign interference from Beijing it's a very serious thing. And the only person that's not taking it seriously is Justin Trudeau himself. We are asking that there should also be our leader, Pierre Poilievre, the future Prime Minister of Canada, today also said that we should get an inquiry into the Trudeau Foundation to find out what happened. How did this money get funneled into there? And what actually led to these people resigning or wanting to resign? We know that it's because of this donation that was taken, but it leads into this bigger problem of foreign interference that obviously Trudeau is doing his best to try to avoid at all costs. And we saw that when they were trying to stifle or they're trying to filibuster the Proc Committee for more than 36 hours, I think it was. It just goes to show that what are they hiding? We all need to know. Canadians need to know, because at the end of the day, we need to know that our democracy is free from foreign interference, and that it is, and we put back, restore the confidence back into our public institutions. So I think all of this plays into that. And I think the more things come out, which I feel like there might be more that comes out as well from this story, that, Canadians at the end of the day need to know that they can have confidence in their democratic institutions.
We've been calling for a public inquiry almost right from the beginning. Of course, a special rapporteur that the Prime Minister appointed just to kind of drag things on until that person, David Johnston, makes the decision on whether or not we should have a public inquiry. Let's stop that step. Let's get right into it. Call the public inquiry. Let the Procedure and House Affairs Committee, Proc Committee do their work as well. Let's try to figure out what's going on? First of all, how deep is this? And obviously, the questions that come after that is, when did the Prime Minister know anything, if at all? And what was done about it, if anything?
Here. That's absolutely right. I couldn't have said it any better than that, Jamie. That's why I said you're a legend.
Well, I'm going to turn to you, the legend, the guy who's rocking in question period. I got to tell you, the budget has given, unfortunately, a lot for you to work with in terms of criticizing and also proposing alternatives. But my goodness, not even a hope in the distant future in bringing the budget to balance. We all heard the comments from the Prime Minister the other day at a town hall talking about using the credit card. If you don't have any money, you can use the credit card. Well, since he took power in 2015, that's all he's been doing is using the credit card to run the country. It's unbelievable the amount of debt we're under now.
You said there's a lot in there. Unfortunately for us to criticize, it's too bad there wasn't enough in there for Canadians or for small businesses or for our Canadian economy to get better. So there was this, as our leader said, this budget was a direct attack on Canadian paychecks. The reason for that is because it's a higher tax, higher spend, higher inflation budget that they put out. You had Chrystia Freeland a few weeks ago coming out saying, we're going to focus on fiscal restraint. And they blew right through that when they had more than $60 billion of new spending in this budget. And what does that do? That gives Canadians more pain, more hurt, more taxes, more inflation. And at the end of the day, this was a time for them to show that they were responsible. They were a responsible government. They would listen to Canadians. They would, listen to the opposition. This is time to help people out, and this budget didn't do that. We see that growth is basically going to be stifled. Our economic growth is not going to go anywhere. And it's unfortunate because Canada could have been a world leader. We could have had, if we look at the global scale, if the rest of the world is going to be hit with an economic slowdown, this is a time when Canada could have blew past all expectations and helped support the world as well. And one example of that is our energy sector. Canada could have been a world leader today in LNG, but it's the Prime Minister who continuously says that there is no business case, like we saw when the German Chancellor came to Canada, literally saying, let's give us your product. We want your LNG. And what did he do? He turned around and said, there's no business case for that. Yet he found a business case to give $21 billion in cushy contracts to liberal insiders and consultants. This is just a theme of this out-of-touch government that has done nothing but cause pain on Canadians and to our economy. Canada should be supporting our resources, our hardworking farmers, rather than attacking these two sectors, so that Canada can become a world leader and we can displace dirty dictator oil around the world and bring strong paychecks to our Canadians. We had 3 simple asks in this budget. We said we want a budget that's going to bring home stronger paychecks, which means lower taxes, lower the deficit so people can take home more. Number 2, bring home more lower prices, which includes getting rid of the job-killing carbon tax scam, which we know it's a scam now because the Liberals for years were saying this is going to make the environment and the economy and Canadians better. But the public budgeting officer said completely false. So this is a scam. We say scrap the scam, axe the carbon tax, let people keep more of their hard-earned money in their pocket, and actually use technology instead of taxes to help fix the environment and work with the industry. The third thing, bring home more homes that people can afford. We know that there's a housing crisis all across the country and that we need to get more homes built. We need to get the government gatekeepers out of the way on a municipal level that are stopping from projects getting built. Canada's 64th in big projects as well right now when it comes to permitting. We need to get these gatekeepers out of the way. This budget addressed none of that. We know that we're still at 40-year high in inflation, highs in food inflation, in gas inflation. Everything is just conflated right now. This budget did nothing to help support Canadians. A conservative government would bring down the taxes because we would bring down the inflation. We would cap government spending, bring down the interest rate so people can get more affordable homes getting built in this country as well. But more importantly, bringing down the interest level at the Bank of Canada would ensure people can start affording their mortgages and rents again.
Well, Jas, of course, they have the grocery rebate. That's what the Liberals are coming back with. And I don't doubt, I have, judging by everyone I've talked to, the phone calls, emails, I'm sure we're all getting the poll after poll that is coming out that's saying it's getting harder and harder for Canadians to feed their families. Of course, any kind of rebate will be better, but the bottom line is the problem is this is a one-time thing, right? When that's gone, which it will be quickly because prices are out of control, the inflation crisis is still with us. We are not actually fixing the problem. They're almost just a little bit, here you go, just to keep you going, but they have no idea how to actually put the fire out.
That's right.
They just keep pouring more gasoline, $40 billion in the hole this year, $40 more billion next year, and it goes on in the tens of billions of dollars.
Absolutely. Look, if you look at just the rebate, first, it's nice that they call it a grocery rebate. What it is, it's a GST rebate, actually, that they've introduced once before. But you said it right. We need to find long-term solutions that are going to help Canadians in the long term. We need to let Canadians keep more of their own hard-earned money in their pocket. When we look at the GST rebate, where if we suppose a family gets a little more than $400, a one-time payment, if you look at just the spending of this government, the new spending on their new budget, That's going to slam each and every household, Canadian household, with an extra $4,200 in cost. So it evaporates, it vaporizes any type of support that they're showing that they're trying to give. One way to help lower food prices, let's get rid of that carbon tax so that it'll be cheaper for our farmers to produce, it'll be cheaper for them to transport the food and get it into our grocery stores. That's one great way that we would do immediately to help lower the cost. The second thing is we would get rid of this ridiculous 30% fertilizer reduction that they came out with. None of these policies by this Liberal NDP coalition, Cossey coalition, are actually helping to reduce the cost of living. It's actually inflating it. It's making it go up even more. We have to get rid of these ridiculous policies so Canadians can have a chance to survive. There was another recent poll, 1 in 3 Canadians are saying that they're financially just completely wiped out, or they're worried about that. This is not the Canada that me and my family came to as immigrants, where there used to be a Canadian dream. The Canadian dream is gone right now because 1 in 5 newcomers also, because of the cost of living, are saying they want to pack up and leave from this country because they just can't afford it anymore. And the second reason is foreign credential recognition, which under Pierre Poilievre government, we have a plan for that as well, where we'll recognize credentials within 60 days of them landing here. So, with a Conservative government, we'll have actual long-term sustainable plans, because along with supporting our farmers, if we support our energy industry, Canada become a leader in help reducing emissions, not just in Canada, but around the world, because we can displace that dirty dictator oil.
A couple of things that you talked about. You're talking about lowering prices, right? One thing to do is, as you pointed out, stop printing money, stop devaluing the currency and wrecking people's savings. You can stop doing that, but also you could add supply to the market. Of course, when you have too many dollars chasing too few goods, you have price inflation as well. And one way to lower the price of energy is to put more of it into the market. One place to lower the cost of food is to allow farmers to produce, not like other countries around the world. We're not going to name them, but it's very easy to point out which countries are somehow and some reason on purpose shorting their food supply, causing shortages around the world, which makes absolutely no sense, and people are just having to deal with the problem. Of course, the rich elites will never stop eating the best cuts of meat or staying at the best hotel or flying private. That's just for the common folk, right? And you mentioned energy. This was in the news a couple of days ago. A Spanish company, I believe it was, wanted to do an LNG project out in New Brunswick, which would have created amazing jobs and opportunity and wealth for that province, opportunities that now won't be realized because of the policies implemented by Justin Trudeau and his energy killing C-69, to name one. C-48 is another.
Absolutely. So C-69, it's a no new pipeline bill. C-48, no new tanker, but not the tanker ban, which, yes, we can get our product to the West Coast, but a tanker can't take it into the world markets. Another great way that we can get more production and more energy in the market is pipelines. We need more pipelines. Justin Trudeau has killed every single pipeline that was on his desk. He's killed 15 good LNG projects that are still sitting on his desk that he has done nothing with. We could have been that world leader, and we could have produced more. We look at our home heating bills over the last just 6 months over the winter. Home heating costs doubled. That's even before they raised the carbon tax, which they did on April the 1st. We need to get rid of these failed policies, get more built, more produced, so that we can give more to the world. And you're absolutely right, Jamie. It's these failed policies that are hindering Canada, that proves it in their budget when they're showing that there's not going to be any economic growth happening for the next few years. We're actually going to be stifled. We're going to have the slowest growth in the G7. Canada should not be in that position. Canada should be a welcoming country. The industries that we're talking to, we ask them, why isn't anyone investing in Canada? What's the holdback? Two things they say: government regulation or burden, which we call the gatekeepers, which is Justin Trudeau. And the second one is economic uncertainty, which Justin Trudeau has created with his bad policies and overspending. We need to fire the gatekeepers, get them out of the way. We need to make sure that we're looking like Canada's open for business again. We have enough resources here. We have our own minerals here. We have our own energy here. We have our own food here. The rest of the world needs to get that clean, responsible energy, food, and everything else, because that's what the world deserves.
Well, you are absolutely right about that. But unfortunately, I believe the federal civil service had a big swelling party. They hired about 31,000 new bureaucrats, I believe it was. And of course, bureaucrats, they justify their jobs, most of them, if they're not providing frontline service. The ones actually doing the work, the ones in the ivory towers in Ottawa, they're just thinking of new ways to regulate people, new ways to control industry and stifle innovation and growth. And that way they justify their jobs. Having said that, Globe and Mail headline, March 28th, Andrew Coyne wrote this. If the government wanted to strangle economic growth, this budget, it would produce. Now, of course, the carbon tax, the offsets the government keeps, is supposed to go to so-called innovation. We will say that, but massive, like above and beyond massive spending in certain industries, the industries that the government deems as green, those that got the favorable outcomes from government, the nod to continue to produce and do that. And of course, if you're a company, why wouldn't you take that free money? It's coming your way. Those with the ideas that might be able to produce something better at more cost affordable measures with cleaner technology, well, they have to fight the uphill battle to get the funding from the private sector against all this government loan, easy money that's coming in from Ottawa. It's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, it's you know what? It's sad to see that the Liberals' game plan to try to fix a problem that they created is a more of a pay-to-play kind of scheme. That, you know, we saw that with Volkswagen as well, that they're paying companies in the billions of dollars to try to invest here, but we don't know what the outcome of that is. We don't know how many real Canadian jobs or Canadian paychecks people can have from those. And, you know, it is the stifling of, and it's the crippling of our energy sector that's not letting a lot of this the things to be produced here. Canada is, like I said, 64th in permitting, and it can take up to 25 years for a project to get approved. That's ridiculous. We need to get these things, fast tracked so that we can work on these things and get good Canadian jobs, good Canadian paychecks from these jobs. But we need to get this Liberal NDP government out of the way for that to happen, because we will get more produced when there's a Pierre Poilievre government.
And it's also the double standard, right? That's being used. The green, the eco-activists are saying, well, we can't frack for natural gas and oil, but it's okay to frack for lithium, right? And those tailing ponds and getting the sludge out. And, they completely turn a blind eye to the child labor being used in parts of Africa to get their rare earth minerals needed for these batteries and everything else that they seem to proclaim will save the earth. Well, we should be using the most ethical sources possible. We should be able to use the tools at our disposal, which is the resources we have domestically. Let's get these people to work here. Let's get our industries back to work. Let's start building stuff here again and stop this reliance on other countries around the world, because we saw during the pandemic what happens when supply chains break down. We said this many times for I don't know how many years, that we should be building stuff here because we need to rely on ourselves when what hits the fan. We have to be prepared, right? And we should be. There's no reason why we should keep offshoring jobs.
Yeah, exactly, jobs, and the other point that I want to highlight is also the intellectual property that. These companies are going to be coming here, but Canada doesn't own that much intellectual property. Canada should have those rights, whether it's, getting these minerals dug up. But the problem right now is who can get a mine built with these policies like Bill C-69? It's impossible. We saw from just before the pandemic was, in Alberta was the Tech Frontier Mine Project that was ready to go. It was about a 20-year, approvals project that they were 20 years in. The government moved the goalposts many times on them, and they still met all the requirements. And it died on the cabinet table of Justin Trudeau because of ideology instead of actually getting good Canadian jobs and good Alberta jobs. That was going to create 8,000 good jobs. We would have a good input into our economy with it. But again, ideology always trumps common sense with this Liberal government.
Well, as we all know, capital investments, they always take the path of least resistance. Obviously, if you're going to put your money forward to take that risk, you want to minimize that risk as much as possible. You couldn't be more right. Like, look at the tens of billions that have left this country for environments that allow growth to happen. Obviously, it's in the most responsible and ethical way possible. Every country wants to ensure that's happening. But if you look at where the investments are happening right now, a lot of it is government money, because things, as you just mentioned, can't be done here. Trans Mountain Pipeline is one. If the government didn't buy it, that project would not be going forward. Look at what they're doing to the investments, right? The selected winners and losers in the marketplace. If the government's saying, the environment isn't correct for you to make a go of it here without this government support, so we're going to take taxpayer money, we're going to dump it into your industry and hope it works, hope it produces something that we want and can use. But at the same time, when that money stops, that whole industry stops, because it needs to be proven, right? It needs to keep growing, and this is my big concern out of all of it. Where is the end game here?
I think that their end game is make an energy as expensive as possible. This is what their plan is. This is what it seems like that's what the direction that they're heading in. Why wouldn't anyone want their country to be the world leader in things like that we produce on our own here? We've highlighted food, we've highlighted energy, we've highlighted minerals, critical minerals. We have all that here. Why can Canada not be the world leader in that and produce it elsewhere? The U.S. also created 7 to 8 LNG projects in the same time as Justin Trudeau's been in power for. And Canada has barely almost finished one project. And what does that show you? It just shows you a government that's not willing to budge on its ideology, that's going to stifle the economy, but hurt Canadians at the end of the day, because we can bring down food and energy prices if we produce more. And that's exactly how the way you put it before, create more so that we can bring down the market value, not market value, but the price of it can come down, and we can sell it to others, and we can have
the other thing.
Good economy, right? That's the whole goal. But you know what? It's going to have to take a Pierre Poilievre government first to clean up this mess. And second of all, we will be the world leader in these kind of things once Pierre Poilievre becomes Prime Minister of Canada.
I love that optimism. I love it. I think Pierre is on his way to be Prime Minister, and it couldn't happen any sooner. I think many people are ready for an election right this second, actually probably years ago. All right. As you know, we've ran a bit over time, but the guests always have the last word, so the floor is yours.
First and foremost, Jamie, thanks again, and thanks for the incredible work you do. I just want to highlight the incredible work that Jamie has been doing, especially with our First Nation brothers and sisters all across Canada, making alliances, but working on true reconciliation. I think this is great first steps for us when Pierre Poilievre becomes Prime Minister of Canada. This is a big focus, and Jamie is a huge part of that. So thank you, Jamie, for all that. Thank you for giving me the honor of being on this show again with you. Look, I just want to leave people with optimism that, under a Pierre Poilievre government, the Conservative government, we will turn the hurt that people are seeing into hope. We will bring more Canadian jobs, stronger Canadian paychecks, and make sure that Canada is a world leader. Energy, food, minerals, you name it, Canada will be the world leader. Let's get Canada back on track and make Pierre Poilievre the next Prime Minister of Canada.
I couldn't say it better myself. That guy is a star. Jasraj Singh, Member of Parliament, Calgary Forest Lawn, also the finance critic, keeping Chrystia Freeland's feet to the fire. He's doing a great job. Look at him in question period too. This guy's on fire, and I don't think any of your questions been answered so far, Jazz, but
it's one of these years, days, I don't think anyone's has.
The finance minister will give you an answer. Thanks very much, Jazz, and thanks you for your time as well. We appreciate you being here, and we ask that you like, comment, subscribe, and share this program. There are eyes and ears that need to get this information. Please let your friends know about it. Also, they can download it, listen to it on platforms like CastBox, iTunes, Google Play, and Spotify. Of course, we have new content for you every single Tuesday, 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Until next week, remember, low taxes, less government, more freedom. That is the blueprint.
Hear, hear.